if you want to grow on Amazon, I wouldn't treat it lightly. You can't, the days of just throwing up an Amazon listing at a bare minimum, putting up one image of your product and, putting the title is gone. That used to work in 2014 and, you could have some success but unfortunately Amazon is a really competitive marketplace and you want to make sure that you take it seriously.
You're listening to eCommerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Imagine your long-awaited order just got delivered. You open up the package and, as luck would have it, your new shirt is in the wrong size. So what do? You open up your laptop, you begin a return, maybe even exchange, but all you see is a customer service phone number. And if you're like me in a situation like this, you really don't want to talk to anybody, let alone write an email. So what do? You don't have days, let alone a week or more, to wait for a response. The ideal next step is to process your own return online, drop it off at a nearby pickup location, and move on with your life. And this is what a hassle-free return process is supposed to be like. And it is a reality for brands who are powered by Loop Returns. Now, Loop is the only returns platform that helps Shopify brands to create an ideal post-purchase experience. And they don't just handle returns, they also make it easy for Shopify brands to incentivize exchanges so you can grow your business and make happier customers. You can find out why over 1,600 of Shopify's biggest brands like Allbirds, Chubby Shorts, and Patagonia, and so many more all choose Loop. 100%, go check them out today at loopreturns.com and learn more. Well, hey there, my name is Steve Hutt. I'm Senior Merch Success Manager here at Shopify, and welcome back to the 5th season of eCommerce Fastlane. Now, I know there's plenty of podcast choices in e-commerce and direct-to-consumer marketing, and just the fact that they're here today means the world to me, and it definitely does for my featured guest. Now, if this is your first time listening, we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store powered by Shopify, and in this particular case, also getting involved in Amazon. So, if you're an ambitious lifelong learner and you're willing to take some action of the things that we share today, I think you're definitely in the right place. I also highly recommend to get the full value of today's episode that you click through from your podcast app to the show notes. It'll be at ecommercefastlane.com. And there you'll find the transcript, links, and then all the resources that we mentioned today. My guest today is Jeff Lieber, who's the CEO and founder from a company called Turnkey Product Management. And what they are is a consulting firm that provides marketing strategies to accelerate the financial growth for Shopify businesses and organizations, but on Amazon. I can guarantee you this will be an excellent conversation. There'll be a ton of learnings around this, I would believe, an important and very necessary channel for Shopify-powered brands. So, hi, Jeff. Welcome to eCommerce Fastlane.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
So let's talk a little bit on the high level first, though, because I've not had very many Amazon experts on my show over the last 5 years. And I'm going to put you into that bucket as being an expert because I had a little bit of work kind of pre-recording today about your past. It's very interesting, the journey that you've taken. But I'd just like to understand a little bit about Turnkey and then how all the pieces came together with both you and then your founding team.
Yeah, sounds good. So basically, to back up, I actually launched in 2014, not as a turnkey product management or as an Amazon agency, but actually I launched my own brand of pet products on Amazon in 2014 as my own seller. And then we launched on Shopify as well shortly after that. And so that was how I started, and then spun off a baby brand of products as well. And, but Amazon was our main channel that I really went all in on. And so that was how I got started. So I ended up growing that, to 6 figures and then beyond, and then ended up partnering with my friend's dad, who invented this crazy dog product that was like 100-foot ring launcher dog toy that was patented and really cool. And so we launched we launched that. I helped them on the e-com side. So I helped them launch on Shopify and Amazon. And Shopify was actually the bulk of our business there. And we went on to sell over $1 million of that product, which was really awesome. But anyways, along the way, my first ever quote unquote client was actually just a buddy from college who he launched on Kickstarter and then Shopify bottle opener sunglasses. Yeah. Yeah, genius and super fun. I've opened hundreds of bottles with my with my Hook sunglasses, and no, they work great. They're titanium and they're awesome. But anyway, so they were doing well on Shopify, but not on Amazon. And they said, Jeff, can you help give us some tips? And they eventually said, hey, can you just like manage it for us? Like just optimize the listings and manage the ads. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And so they're like, yeah, we'll pay you, to do it. So we just came up with a friendly arrangement, and I ended up helping grow them to over 6 figures in their first year. And we sold over $1 million of their brand on Amazon. And now my team just fully manages it. And so anyways, that was kind of our first quote unquote client, even though it was just a friend from college, but they ended up referring 2 or 3 friends who then they referred a couple friends. So after like maybe 12 to 18 months, I had like 10 clients that I was doing on the side, managing their Amazon business. And meanwhile, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I've got 3 brands of my own plus 10 of these other people's. And I was just like, all I wanted was my old 9-to-5 job back, because I had just, kind of gone too heavy, too many, pots on the stove. And so that was around 2017 that I just had to make a life choice and say, I need to go all in on one. Which one was I best at? And I just felt that going the turnkey route and helping other people, like I wasn't a great product inventor. I wasn't the rocket scientist inventing the cool products or, innovating amazing products on my own, but I was really great at the marketing piece, the advertising, the Amazon piece. And so ended up deciding I'm going to go all in there. So I sold my pet brands and my baby brands over the course of a year, had a nice little exit, and then went all in on turnkey and hired my cousin and my sister and some of their friends, and built a team and the infrastructure. And now we're up over 20 people, and I've built a great team, and have lots of successful case studies and great brands that we work with to grow on Amazon. And then most of our brands also sell on Shopify, almost exclusively on Shopify. And so, anyways, they're multi-channel brands.
Yeah, no, this is lovely. Thanks for sharing that. It's really cool to hear people's trajectory and kind of, there really is no such thing as an overnight success, right? There really is. You got to, and if there is, it just appears like that on the surface. The reality is you've actually put in the work and quote unquote ate your own dog food, so to speak, and actually did the work, made a lot of money, learning the ropes and pivoting and changing. Because I know there's been lots of changes both in Shopify's world and on the Amazon world, which I'm hopefully going to unpack that in a few minutes. But great to hear that story, and that kind of, I guess, sets the stage a bit for kind of my next question around just Amazon in general, because I'm not sure if these are the latest stats or not, but my research kind of shows that Amazon represents probably about 40% or more probably of the total US e-commerce sales last year. I mean, we're in 22 now, but for all of last year. And, I'd argue that maybe that's where people go first to learn and see what the best fair price is and see what selections out there. And I really think a brand really has to have a strategy around how they're dealing with Amazon and should they sell on Amazon or not. And so let's assume that the answer is yes, I should be selling on Amazon. I understand that, 40% of the total revenue of online transactions is happening through Amazon, or more likely. Knowing that, let's talk a little bit about what is new for sellers today. So someone says, yes, I'm doing decent on my Shopify store. I want to make that pivot over to Amazon. Let's talk about what's new today and how you believe that their platform can help that multi-channel we just spoke about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the stats that you quoted, that's the latest we've seen as well. I think a minimum of 40% of online shopping volume. So at that, I mean, it's basically the biggest store in the world, essentially. And you can launch on there so easily. And what's nice, and I love Shopify too. I think you should sell on both 100%. But Amazon, what's a little bit different is they have the biggest online pool of shoppers in the entire world. They're already searching for your products, most likely on Amazon. And so let's say that you sell a yoga mat and you're doing 100K a month on Shopify, that's absolutely amazing. But they're selling millions of dollars of a month of yoga mats and accessories on Amazon. And if you're not listed there on Amazon and you're not showing up in the search results, you are just giving away all of that real estate to your competition, to your competitors. And so it's just this huge pool of buyers that, you know, they want to shop. They're going to Amazon. They put in the search and they're planning to buy that product within, you know, the next 5 minutes, right? They're going to make that buying decision because they just trust Amazon so much. And so for those shoppers, you want to be there and be in front of them. And if you're not, then you're just missing out on a huge opportunity. And we could talk about, you know, any risks that people have about that. But yeah, that's kind of the first step.
So the first step, I definitely agree. You want to be, you know, there's a baked-in marketplace. There's a baked-in audience here of people ready to buy, and you're right. There's this opportunity cost. I wonder if there is any technology or software available that, you know, that a brand can get access to, or that your team has access to, that helps just understand the competitive landscape. Like, because let's say, I mean, I have many brands that I manage that maybe there's certain 2 or 3 SKUs are really successful for them, and the rest are selection SKUs. And like, just trying to figure out how a brand makes a decision if this LED makeup mirror, I wonder if I should sell this on Amazon. And when I go take a quick peek, maybe there appears to be too many or too much competition. And it's just trying to understand the competitive landscape and how, when you onboard somebody to be a client and get them on Amazon correctly, how do you select the right product, knowing that it could actually, it's in a space where Amazon can reveal and highlight that product more because it's not massively competitive niche?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's one of the first steps. So anytime a brand comes to us at Turnkey and, you know, wants to hop on a call, or they just, you know, send us an inquiry like, hey, I don't know if Amazon is worth my time. Is this a good niche on Amazon or not? And so that is step one. And, you know, obviously, because we have so many, you know, we've been in the space so long, we have access to like all the different softwares and tools that, you know, cost a pretty penny, but we have all these tools that can basically look at it for you. And we can do it for free because it just makes sense for us to do that. So for any of your listeners that like have thought about Amazon and they're not sure whether it's, you know, the right fit or not, basically you could just contact us for free and say, hey, like, just give me a niche opportunity. Let me know the revenue potential on Amazon for my particular product. And we'll go look at all your competitors. We'll look at different keywords, and we'll generate a number of analysis and reports that basically say, hey, look, the number one seller in your niche is currently doing $1.5 million a month. The number 10 seller on Amazon is doing, you know, $150,000 a month. And so, you know, with those type of numbers, it's a competitive niche. It's going to be, you know, not super easy to break in, but it's definitely worth your time to, you know, try to get in there and follow all the steps that we do in order to get into that niche. But there's a small chance that you might sell some really unique product that maybe not a lot of people are searching for. And we'll be able to look at that and say, hey, you know, the number one seller is only doing $25,000 a month. The number 10 seller is only doing, you know, $1,000 a month on Amazon. And so we'll turn them away and advise them, hey, you know, this is just not currently a good opportunity for Amazon, but you're crushing it on Shopify and in retail and whatever you're doing. But Amazon's not going to be worth your time or money to invest, you know, building up that sales channel, building the team, or hiring an agency like ours. And so first step, or one of the first steps, is to assess and decide, is it worth my time? How much money and time should I invest into it? Yes or no? And we can do that for free. And so I think that's a great idea. We could offer that to your listeners if anyone's curious. Like we could add it to our resources page that we built for you. I think it's turnkeyproductmanagement.com/fastlane. If you're interested in that free revenue analysis, we could just do that for free and send it over.
some kind of an audit, I guess, for potential first-time Amazon seller that, is already doing a decent amount of revenue on their Shopify store and they want to get in there, but just not sure if it's right. You'll be able to run a quick report to figure out those revenue numbers and sales numbers and going, there is an opportunity here. And it must open doors for you too by running a free report like this too, because then you're just like, hey, I trust these guys. Like they're giving me some free advice. You can run with it on your own if you want to, or you have a winning strategy. So that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. And sometimes people say they threw up they hired someone to throw up an Amazon listing or build their store for them, a year or two ago or whatever. And it, they never really focused on it, didn't optimize it, not doing super well, but they maybe never looked into, the same revenue potential of what's the competition doing. And so even for sellers that are on Amazon that have just sort of neglected it, or they're just curious, hey, like how far is the gap? Like I'm only doing $2,000 a month on Amazon. What's the gap? Is the number one seller doing $1 million a month? Like that would be useful to know. So sometimes even if they're already on Amazon, it's still worth doing that opportunity analysis. All
right, cool. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the advertising side, because I notice, obviously I'm an Amazon customer, I'm an Amazon Prime customer, and it's interesting when you see when I query something. I'm actually looking for a Sony camera right now, and it's so interesting that other brands, try to, like Canon, like other premium brands, kind of put themselves into ad spots. But I think there's so many different types of ad locations and different spots and different names. It almost appears overwhelming for me, but I have a funny suspicion it's not overwhelming for you. You know all the potential paid acquisition spots on Amazon outside of the organic reach you get on Amazon. So can you talk a little bit about some of the options? I know we can't dig into all of the options of paid advertising on Amazon, but let's talk about why somebody might need that versus the organic reach on its own. As part of your competitive analysis report you do. But, so once you make that decision that, yes, I'm going to launch on Amazon, I'm going to, start building my reviews and start getting some organic reach. Why the ad side? And then where are the ads best placed today that have the best kind of ROI?
I definitely want to talk about advertising, but before I encourage people to just go start spending lots of money on ads, I do want to just make sure I cover that, like the next step would actually be to make sure that you build and have a really, really strong, if you even just have one product listing on Amazon or multiple, make sure that listing is super strong, well built, well optimized with full keyword optimization done, making sure that, Amazon gives you lots of beautiful real estate where you have like 9 image slots and a video slot where you can put, video about the product. There's lots of review strategies that you need to put in place. And because, whoever, when's the last time you bought a product that had 0 reviews or, one 2-star review, right? You got to have that social proof where if someone landed on your listing, there's like, wow, I fully understand the product. I understand, the problem that it solves for me, and it's got the social proof, the reviews. So that's really like kind of step one is when we take a client on is to make sure that everything's optimized. And there's also what's called Amazon storefront now, which can have all your different products on there and needs to be beautifully built. And so once you have those building blocks in place, then yes, it absolutely makes sense to start investing into the Amazon pay-per-click advertising side of things. So I'm happy to jump into that now if you want me to.
Yeah, and you're right about the store, because that's exactly what I found when I did a quick search for my Sony camera. I realized that I could actually go to the Sony store and they have like a whole custom branded. So Amazon.com/stores/Sony. / and then a page, and it goes into their page of all their products. I mean, I know they're this massive multi-billion-dollar company, but it seems like the technology is available for brands as they start to grow up on Amazon. It looks like there is a way of having a dedicated landing page by a particular store and all the collections and products that they have available, like they would on a Shopify store. You can actually have a dedicated store on Amazon. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. They've come a long way. And so, yeah, basically on the advertising side of things, number one, I believe last I checked, Amazon is now the number 3 advertiser in the world as far as ad revenue that they do. So they're a big player there. And there's a reason for that is because it's got to be probably some of the lowest risk ads to run and highest ROI. And why is that? Because it's search based, it's query based, where it's pay-per-click advertising on Amazon Seller Central, where if you have a yoga mat and that's what you're selling, there are so many, that we can come up with hundreds of keywords and keyword variations related to yoga mat, non-slip yoga mat, eco-friendly yoga mat. There's so many different types of keywords that customers are searching for, and we can build very, very advanced, but you can also just keep it simple in the beginning for sure. Just build these keyword-based campaigns where if someone searches for that phrase, I want my product to be in there. It's very similar to Google ads, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with. And so basically on the Amazon, imagine that you just finally launched your yoga mat brand on Amazon. You've been neglecting it because you were crushing it on Shopify and didn't have the time. And then boom, now it's time to go on Amazon. You got a few reviews, you built the page, and now you can instantly pay, a nominal cost in order to put your yoga mat brand on the first page of the search results when someone searches for black non-slip yoga mat. And that's exactly what you sell. Even though you just launched on Amazon yesterday, you can be showing up at the top of the search results, and you got to pay for that, but it's pay per click, right? And so it might be $1, it might be $2.50. It depends on your niche per click. But if you have a high converting listing, like I talked about, you have a very, very good chance that you'll be able to generate a very positive ROI on the Amazon ads front.
Okay, so that's on the keyword-based type. And then is there any other types of ad formats, or is there any kind of like machine learning things where Amazon helps you spend your money and helps to have your products being displayed in the right places if you haven't done all the research, or are there more machine learning AI things they have?
Yeah, they're always progressing, and there's been a lot of changes over the last couple of years, which is exciting. So we're always staying on top of that for our clients. So you can do a lot of competitor targeting. So that's another beautiful thing, is you can just go target the top 25 brands that are your competitors that sell exact products similar to yours. And you can advertise on their product listing page, right? And try to, steal their sales and traffic. There's so many different cool things you can do. But what a lot of people don't know about is it's called Amazon DSP advertising. And that stands for demand side platform. Have you heard of that particular platform?
I've heard of DSP ads before, but I don't know about the Amazon side. So if I don't know, likely my listeners don't know either. So
no, it's totally good. A lot of people don't know. Yeah. Like probably 90% of the brands that come to us, like they've never heard of it, or they just heard the phrase and they're not too sure what it is. But basically, it's another Amazon advertising platform that Amazon owns, but it's in a different portal. And it's DSP ads. You can target customers, retarget customers in lots of different ways, both when they're on the Amazon shopping platform, but also more importantly, when they're outside of Amazon, when they're on their phone, when they're on social media apps, when they're watching, on their Kindle audiobook and things like that. So there's so many different ways that you can run different types of ads. You can do really cool look back windows where, you can target customers that visited your product page but didn't buy in the last 90 days, if that's what you want to target, and put that retargeting ad in front of them. Or if someone bought your yoga mat in the last, let's say, year, 12 months ago, they bought a yoga mat, and now you just launched a yoga towel and yoga block set or some accessory to that. And now you can, run an ad to the customer that bought 1 year ago today to, of your yoga mat originally. And so you can cross sell your products. And so there's a ton of different types of ads. You can run video ads. There's so many different things. But anyways, because it's so targeted and strategic, we can consistently, most of the time, not 100%, but most of the time we see very, very positive ROIs, and we're able to meet our clients' goals and help them to grow.
Lovely. I'm actually on their website right now at advertising.amazon.com. And that's the Amazon ads, they call it, but then Amazon DSP is here. And it goes through a lot of details. So I'll put that link in the show notes too. Advertising.amazon.com. Pretty cool. It's a really neat, looks like a really neat tool. Some guides and things here too for those that are just want to self-serve, kind of do it yourself learnings. Check that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing I just want to make sure I mention is, if you're a really big brand and you have a big budget, you can go directly to Amazon DSP. I think it even says it on that webpage that for Amazon's team to manage it for you, it's a minimum $50,000 test budget, which for most brands is a little bit too high of a test budget. But if you go through an agency like ours, not all agencies have gone through the process to become, Amazon DSP trained and become a DSP provider. But if they go through that process and you find an agency like ours, or there are other good ones out there, I'm sure. But then like at our agency, our minimum test budget is $500 because that's truly all that we need to be able to just, to get enough data and see, is it a positive ROI? Because most of the time we can get positive ROI with just $500. And if we can't, then we'll be very, very conservative and want to move slowly with that, or possibly turn off the test if it's really not getting good results. But most of the time we can.
Well, I mean, it's a typical thing, what you're not measuring, you can't affect, and you got to do A/B testing all the time. And I think it sounds like a very, through your agency, it's a small amount of money versus Amazon having to do it, but a small amount of money to test your product after doing, like your market research that you mentioned already with some of the software tools you have, just see the competitiveness of that niche, and then doing a test in a certain area. And it sounds like a win-win for me. I want to be devil's advocate though for a second, because that's what I like to be. I'm sure there's some mistakes. I mean, other than, you mentioned at the top of the show about running out and creating ads and stuff and not knowing what you're doing, or thinking that, hey, I'm selling well already in this particular product, I'm sure it'll sell well on Amazon without, pausing and doing some due diligence. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that you've seen other sellers do, and hopefully we can teach them now not to do it themselves.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So let's see. Biggest mistakes. Number one would be, a lot of the basic stuff that I just covered so far, building the optimized listings and reviews before turning on and ramping up the advertising spend. That's a big mistake that some people make. Another big one is simply just not trying to test Amazon. See, literally we it was just 12 months ago. Maybe it was 13 or 14 months ago. We had a brand come to us. They were doing, I believe, over 100K a month on Shopify, and they were crushing it, doing a solid business, but they just never had tested Amazon and they felt like they didn't have the time or the team or the resources because they're so busy, driving traffic to Shopify, that they just neglected Amazon. We're like, I just don't think it's going to be worth it. And then finally they had a call with us. We did the revenue opportunity, showed them what the potential was. And they're like, okay, we'll give it a shot. And so they signed up for our performance-based pricing. And so we went all in and really helped build a launch plan for them. They'd never been on Amazon before. And they launched in the first month of 30 days. We did over $100,000 of sales on Amazon. And now 1 year later, we're doing over $300,000 a month consistently. And their Shopify store is still crushing it and growing like crazy as well.
Now, online shopping can feel risky for some customers. Imagine if your order arrives in the wrong size. This totally happened to me recently, or in the wrong color, or it just doesn't look right on you. And there really can be hundreds of reasons why you may want to return a product, and I totally get it. And that's why Loop Returns makes it easy for Shopify brands to encourage exchanges rather than refunds. And we all know that returns don't equal goodbyes, they equal new hellos. And Loop really has a slick process to make it easy for a customer to have a fast return or exchange. Now, see why thousands of Shopify brands like Pit Viper, Somersault, and Princess Polly, they all choose Loop as their return partner. Now is the time to improve your post-purchase experience, so go check them out today at loopreturns.com. Yeah, because I always wondered about the potential cannibalization a bit of going multi-channel on Amazon, because Amazon has really high search results, branded search results too, I might add, just because of their domain authority. Is there, can you speak much about that? Because at the end of the day, I would suspect that the margins are probably going to be higher, not having to pay any seller fees on Amazon versus directing towards, the Shopify store of the same product. But just curious on your feedback of how you balance that potential cannibalization on Amazon versus Shopify store.
Sure. It's a valid concern that people definitely, bring to us, and we're always happy to talk through that. So there's a couple things that you can do. For example, you can run much stronger promotions and discounts on Shopify than you offer on Amazon. You don't have to, offer the same thing. And so that's one way, like if you have your email list and your audience and Shopify customers that are used to, whatever you like to do, for Father's Day sale or whatever, like you can offer those big promotions and constant coupons and things like that on Shopify that can be greater than on Amazon. So that way, because a lot of customers, they'll check both, right? They'll check what's the price on Amazon and what's the deal I can get on Shopify. So that's one way that a lot of our clients like to do is to mitigate that. So they'll actually, and one benefit of that is you might actually, there's a percentage of customers that found you on Amazon because they're searching for, let's keep using the yoga mat example. I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but let's go with it. So they found you in the search results on Amazon, and, savvy shoppers will be like, oh, I'm just going to Google it and see, what this brand is online. They might want to see it. If you look like a legit brand, they'll Google you, go to your Shopify site, and boom, be like, oh, wow, you have a 20% off coupon for first time customers, nice little pop up on your Shopify site. And they end up buying with you, right? And so that's one way to go about it. Another is some Shopify brands, they don't list all 100% of their SKUs on Amazon. They just will.
That's true.
Will list a subset of the ones that strategically make the most sense. So if you're really, really concerned about that, that's a good way to sort of test the waters and not, jump all the way in. But I guess what I'll end on is that at the end of the day, most of the time what will happen is, yes, there will be a little bit of cannibalization where, customers just trust Amazon more. So if they see that it's on Amazon, they might take that sale. So a small percentage for sure will go over to Amazon. But at the end of the day, if you do Amazon right, you're going to be tapping into, the millions and millions of customers that are shopping online every single day, searching for your products. And if you're not there, you're just giving away that real estate to your competition. And so, if Shopify was originally 100% of your sales, and then you launch on Amazon, and now Amazon's 15% of your sales, and Shopify goes to 85%, what will typically happen though is overall your revenue and profits will be growing. Okay. So that's an important factor, is that you're able to typically grow faster by doing both. And then, I guess, I know that was a lot of info, but I just want to make sure I kind of cover some different points.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I know one thing I noticed too, as you were speaking, was the fact that if you are on Amazon and on your Shopify store, and even if there is some cannibalization, think about the search results. You're either going to be on Amazon or Google or potentially YouTube. There's probably the three big places where people kind of start their kind of product discovery journey. And, on Google itself, the results are going to be there. So now you get these search engine result pages, the SERPs we call them, where you're getting like multiple entries visually for either a branded query. So we're looking for a particular Sony camera, and it's being shown on Amazon, and it's being shown, if you're the brand owner, and on Google in your direct to consumer site. So that's interesting. So you get visually, you get that real estate above the fold. So I think that's interesting. So I think that's one plus. I wanted to be on Amazon, plus the baked in audience we talked about and potential revenue increases that'll happen. The other thing I was thinking about too is, you mentioned that you can do discounts in certain things on your Shopify store. Imagine if you were able to, within the terms and services of Amazon, but have something inside the box asking for a review, or a special coupon code for a second purchase, or maybe even a survey or something. Can you talk a little about that? I know Amazon is very particular about not trying to quote unquote cannibalize their business, because they helped acquire that customer and the revenue share that goes along with that. But at the end of the day, you do want to get more reviews. Does it have to be electronic reviews, or could something be baked into the box as a thank you note of some sort that's in a factory sealed box that says, hey, review, hey, thanks for buying off Amazon, but by the way, we have a Shopify store too, or surveys. And I want to know how, is it truly black and white, or is there a gray area that seems to work this sort of thing about not trying to take away from Amazon, but enhancing your Shopify store as a result of Amazon.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we've all seen those cards in the Amazon products that we buy. A lot of brands do it.
Yep.
So it's definitely, it's a gray area. It's not black and white. We've seen some where we've ordered, just me personally, I've ordered products and I see what they put in the box and it's just like, they're blatantly asking for like, I will pay you $50 if you leave us a 5-star review on Amazon and blah, 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 go to this page. And it's just like, that's completely breaking Amazon's terms of service.
Right.
So you cannot do things like that, but it is a gray area. But yeah, there's warranty cards that's totally legit to like, that customers want to sign up for their lifetime warranty or 90-day warranty or whatever. And, you have to collect their email in order to do that. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways around it. And we talk with our clients about those strategies and the risks of each and try to make sure that we're always being compliant with Amazon. But there definitely are creative ways where you can end up communicating with the Amazon customers off of Amazon and they'll end up buying down the road on your Shopify site as well. And then I just thought of one other point that to your question about the cannibalization, because I've sold a couple businesses before and I've had some business brokers on my podcast. I have a podcast called The Playbook for Amazon Podcasts, and I've interviewed them and talked to them about the valuations in the marketplace. What is your business worth if you want to sell your business, right? A lot of Shopify brands, they want to sell their business one day. It can be a huge financial windfall. And what's consistent from what I've seen and talked with people is if you are a Shopify only business and you're doing the same numbers, so $1 million in revenue and $250,000 in profit or EBITDA. And you compare that to a business that's doing $1 million in total, but it's split, let's just for even numbers, say it's 50-50, 500K on Amazon, 500 on Shopify, same profit level. That second business that's multi-channel will have a higher valuation and a higher multiple when you sell your business because you're a safer business, you're multi-channel. And most buyers appreciate that you're not reliant just on one channel, right? So it kind of goes both ways. And same thing, if you're an Amazon only business and you're not on Shopify, I recommend all day that you should go on Shopify and become multi-channel because of the same principle. You sleep better at night knowing that if for whatever reason, Facebook changes the algorithm that was driving all my Shopify sales and it dried up. Well, Amazon is its own engine and can keep going and keep your business going and you're not dead in the water. And then same thing, vice versa. If Amazon listing gets taken down because of whatever, some customer crazy series of complaints or whatever, sometimes stuff happens and it goes down for a few days. Your Shopify business hopefully is up and alive and kicking and you're just a safer, more sound business. So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. No, and thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you thought of that one because that's important. One thing I'm also thinking of too is I did read a little bit about Amazon potentially being a little bit aggressive, by their showcasing or giving preferential treatment of location of a lot of their private label brands. I did some research and it looks like Amazon probably owns over 100 private label brands. I don't know if they have a corporate dev department. They no doubt do, where they're probably analyzing their own data in-house and trying to figure out who's doing well and why, and is there opportunity for acquisition of that, and then owning the whole supply chain and making more revenue net all the way through because they own the product and they don't have to pay for their own ads. So I think it's interesting. And just one other note before you kind of answer that question is that I remember at my prior agency, they were in the hair removal industry, like kind of a cream and some things that they could rip off. And so it was interesting. And they were a premium brand that everybody knew who they were. And Amazon saw how well they were doing and they actually forced them. Now, this maybe things have changed since then. They didn't get into the acquisition kind of conversation, but they did force them to get involved in a separate program where Amazon is only the exclusive wholesaler, or they're the only one that can buy from them exclusively. And sell on Amazon versus themselves, the brand owner, or any third-party sellers can't sell the product either, though. So I guess there's two sides to that question about Amazon has lots of data. Are they evil enough to want to knock off a product or give themselves preferential treatment in ads or on the website? And then is there potentially an opportunity where they may force you out as you grow if you don't choose to play by their rules of, hey, only sell to us because we want to make more margin on it?
Yeah, it's absolutely a fair concern. There is absolutely, some risk there that you should factor into your decision. I mean, a lot of business is just, making decisions based on risk reward. And so let's just use the example of like, okay, you got a big brand like Bulletproof Coffee and, Starbucks coffee is sold on Amazon, right? And so Amazon, they have their own brand of coffee too, right?
They do.
You've probably seen it. Yeah. They have their own private label brand. Now, does that mean that all of a sudden Bulletproof sales, like everyone's like, oh, I used to be a Bulletproof customer, but now Amazon has its own brand. Like everyone switched to Amazon and Bulletproof is now out of business.
Not likely. No.
Right.
No.
Not likely. So it's just, it's definitely a concern because the Amazon obviously is going to be able to place their own brand, higher up in the real estate and probably charge themselves less advertising costs or maybe no cost at all. Mm-hmm. So it's a risk. They take up some real estate, but it's their own store. It's their own web domain. Mm-hmm. And so, it's part of it. But if you look at the numbers, in some of our brands that we have, Amazon has popped up in the last few years with their own brand in that same space.
Right.
And it's most of the time, it's not like you see a drastic drop off that really crushes your business. It's just Amazon is now another brand on there. And Amazon tends to go after the lower end pricing and lower end quality. Like they're not tending to be the super high end version of things. And so,
right.
It also helps if you have a really strong differentiated brand like Bulletproof Coffee, right? Mm-hmm. Not the cheapest brand, but a lot of people are diehard to that brand. They've got their differentiators. So they'll be fine. So it's definitely a risk to consider. But if you consider the risk versus reward of if you do Amazon right, even if Amazon enters your space, you'll still be able to compete and get sales, I would say most of the time. But it's definitely something to think about.
All right. So once again, baked in audience, it's a massive opportunity. And so even though maybe they might steal some of your ideas or preferential treatment, there's still so much opportunity. I did exactly that search of just coffee on Amazon.com. Bulletproof comes up. The one or two private label brands I know that Amazon owns come up, but then so do all the other major players out there, from Dunkin' through to Folgers, through to Newman's and San Francisco and Kicking Horse. Bulletproof is there, as I mentioned, and Starbucks is there. I mean, they're all still there, and they all have like massive reviews in the 20,000, 80,000, massive reviews. So it proves that the opportunity is there for everybody to really be successful. And it looks like a lot of these individual brands already have some kind of brand campaigns already going on. You don't just show up and go, I think I'm going to buy some Green Mountain coffee today. Well, what is that? Where did it come from? What's the story behind it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting to me. Whereas, maybe the branding behind Bulletproof is more unique because they have a story behind what they do. And then if they want to go to Amazon and buy it because they're a Prime member, then buy it. But you're right. I don't believe it's going to cannibalize everything. I just wanted to get that clear to everybody that there's opportunity. Yes, they can use the data for their own selfish reward. But on the flip side, though, the opportunity is still there and you can still test it. It's going to be an incremental lift in your revenue. And I think that's important. So.
Yeah, no, you couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for summing that up.
So I want to pivot a bit to a story now, because I think so interesting I think it just can educate and really inspire people when you hear about others that maybe have a direct to consumer brand on Shopify and they chose to go on Amazon. It'd be great if, hopefully I don't put you on the spot here. It'd be great to maybe not give away who the brand is, but maybe anecdotally talk about a particular brand maybe and how they heard about you, what you did for them, and maybe any kind of results. And every brand will have their own results, but just would like to hear a story and people can maybe fit themselves into that mold and going, hey, I sell a similar product, or I'm in that vertical, or I could be in another vertical and maybe I can have the similar success that they had. So I'd love to hear something if you can pull something out of your archives.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, like I said, most of our clients are already selling on Shopify and Amazon. Like they've already tested Amazon either on their own or they hired someone. And so most of our clients are already multi-channel. It is rarer these days that someone has only been Shopify only and hasn't tried Amazon. But one of our best case studies in the last year that comes to mind was someone that was in the pet space. They built a great pet brand of products on their Shopify store. That was their main sales channel. They were doing over 100K a month on Shopify, but that was their only channel. And they had built their team and infrastructure in order to accomplish that amazing feat of, right? Like growing your own brand from scratch to 100K, like that's not super easy on Shopify, right? So anyway, but she didn't have any bandwidth. Her team members that she had, they didn't know Amazon and she didn't have the bandwidth or capacity in her head. Or so she thought to manage Amazon. She just thought it would just be this huge undertaking and a pain in the butt. And so, but then she actually heard about us on a podcast was what she said. Maybe it was hers. She didn't say what podcast that it was. She just said she heard about us on a podcast. I do go on some podcasts sometimes. So she heard about us and realized like, oh, there's companies out there that you can just like hire them to like manage it and do all the grunt work for you. And so we did the assessment and showed her how big this niche was on Amazon. And so she signed up and, chose the performance-based pricing. So we put our money where our mouth was and we basically, built her listings from scratch. And kind of, that process is kind of like taking all your assets that you have, you just put them in a Google Drive or a Dropbox file that you already have for Shopify. You already have all the stuff, right? That you built your beautiful Shopify store. And then we just basically convert it and build on top of it and build out all of the Amazon real estate and product listings that you do. And then we did a whole 30-day pre-launch plan and, had the time to do that, which I highly recommend doing if you've never been on Amazon, is to have at least 30 days to properly plan a launch. And we launched, it was one of our biggest launches ever, which was over 100K in sales on Amazon in the first month. And she did not see drop off on Shopify. Shopify was still growing and doing well. And then 1 year later, we just did over $300,000 last month on Amazon, and her Shopify is around the same, if not higher, actually. So she's absolutely crushing it, and it's been really fun to work with her and her team. And now she's got a multi-million-dollar multi-channel business, and it's been really awesome.
That's really cool. I'll make sure I give a link to a couple other case studies you have on your website. I'll put those in the show notes too. One thing I was thinking about the internationalization side, do you have much experience with those that maybe want to sell into Canada on Amazon.ca or other international markets? Is there opportunity for that sort of thing? Because I know that the questions come up a lot on American brands that say, I want to sell into Canada, because I make comments saying, well, there's 38 million people in Canada. Like, imagine not selling to California. Because if you're not, that's exactly the same thing. If you don't sell into California, is like not selling into Canada, because that's how big the market is. And so my question for you, is there opportunity on Amazon.ca through your same services? Is there opportunity there? And then other Amazon portals around the world?
Yeah, 100%. Amazon has really made it a focus over the last, I would say, 5 years to expand internationally. And they've made it, relatively easy as well to launch very quickly into Amazon Canada. Because if you go to Amazon Canada right now and search for a coffee product, do the same search, you'll see a lot of the same brands, and the listings are basically like there's ways to migrate the listings over. So it's a pretty, a fairly seamless, painless process. And the other thing is only a percentage of Amazon.com sellers take the time and effort to take those steps and launch into Canada as well as the other countries. So there's actually less competition. So it's a smaller market. Yeah, smaller pie, smaller market, but you don't need 10,000 reviews in Canada to be one of the top performing brands in your space. It's a lot easier to take over some of the market share there. And so, Canada has been really successful. Amazon Europe has been successful for migrating brands over there as well. And then, Amazon expanded to to India and, so many different countries now. It's over a dozen countries. I don't know the exact number right now, but yeah, it's a big opportunity. So I would say definitely focus on Amazon.com first because it's just like, that's the biggest opportunity to prove concept. Right. But if you can prove, oh, wow, we're getting a good conversion rate, we're getting some sales. And if you want to take on expand internationally, that can be a great way. And it can complement as well. If you're trying to build an international Shopify store, it can help, right? Amazon, if you have your own Shopify store, right, you typically get a .ca as well sometimes, right? Isn't that one of the strategies?
Yeah, you can through markets. We have Shopify markets, so you can sell in your own local currency, so in Canadian dollars, and you can choose either top-level domain, .ca, or you can go into a subfolder now, /English /Canada or CA, and then have and then you're giving and you're telling Google that, hey, from an IP detection, hey, this is where you need to redirect to for Canadian queries in the SERPs. But that's very interesting and I was thinking another thing about the shipping side of it. You said the international thing is an important thing. So there's FBA, this fulfillment by Amazon, because I have some brands that do not fulfill any of their e-commerce orders or their Amazon orders. They're all done by Amazon. So Amazon is their warehouse fulfillment partner for both their D2C, so Shopify, and they also do their Prime and any kind of like sales that are happening on their marketplace. My question to you is that is there a better opportunity either or of having Amazon being the warehouse service provider for both the store and obviously they have to be, I guess you don't have to be at FBA. You can actually self-fulfill Amazon orders. I just want to make sure I'm clear about the fulfillment obligations of, do me as an Amazon seller, do I have to have my products in an Amazon certified warehouse or can I self-fulfill it on behalf of Amazon? And what's the pros and cons of that? I'm just trying to get the lay of the land a bit about, and I'm just thinking cross borders and stuff and what happens when there's lots of questions here. It's exciting about what can happen, from the US side, but then the fulfillment side I find is quite interesting. Self-fulfilled through your own 3PL, going through Amazon for both web orders or Amazon orders. I'd just like to know your feedback on that.
Yeah, I think it's an important topic to cover for your audience. So basically, it's flexible. You can do either or, and Amazon doesn't necessarily care which way. So some of our clients, like for example, that pet brand I talked about, they were only selling on Shopify, and they used their own 3PL warehouse, and they didn't own the 3PL. It was one of these big 3PLs that's got dozens of warehouses around the country in the United States. There's lots of great ones out there. And so they were using that to fulfill their Shopify. And, what we did was when we launched them on Amazon, I believe they had one really big product that was just kind of big and bulky. And it was just easier to test it out by doing the fulfilled by merchant. So, we can list it on Amazon, but it's not using Amazon FBA warehouse. So if they get 3 orders today of that SKU, we map that back to the warehouse, their 3PL warehouse. And then that warehouse gets to print out the label, shipping label, and ship it on to that customer directly. So that's a really easy way to start. If you're worried about the headache of managing multiple warehouses and you're already set up with your 3PL, you can start. It's called FBM, fulfilled by merchant. So that's a fair way to start. One downside to that is you typically will not be able to have Amazon Prime badge, which obviously a lot of customers prefer and like. So then what we advise them to do is, for the majority of their products, we help them figure out how to ship to Amazon's FBA warehouse. There's, dozens of them in the country, if not over 100 by now. And Amazon's usually, pretty good about choosing like the closest warehouse to you. Like, so if you ship into Los Angeles and you have your 3PL there, there's warehouses really close by. So the shipping costs are not super big. So you can send a pallet or a couple pallets of your products to Amazon. The labeling is pretty easy. And also all these 3PL warehouses, they all use Amazon all day long and know how to do those shipments. So that's a really easy way. You just tell them, hey, I want to ship 100 of this and 200 of that. The Amazon FBA, they ship it to the Amazon FBA warehouse, and now instantly you get that beautiful Amazon Prime badge and free shipping and fast shipping and all that good stuff. And so that is, but you can do it either way. So that's the domestic part of it. Do you want me to talk about the international? Or?
Yeah, I'm curious on the international side, because it's interesting because in Canada, I find the selection is less on Amazon.ca. And I also find that not all vendors choose the international option. And so they're choosing to not cross borders, or they don't have a warehouse at an FBA in Canada. So maybe you can kind of explain some of those differences and what brands might want to do.
Yeah. So the Amazon actually recently opened up, I believe it's called Amazon Remote Fulfillment. And so it's really nice where you can actually fulfill orders to a Canadian customer in Canada, but it's shipped from your FBA warehouse, in the United States, and Amazon will handle that for you. So that they've actually done a good job, kind of offering that as a quick way. And that's where I recommend you if you want to try testing international, that's a good, quick, easy way to start that, because it's a pain. It's a little bit more of a pain to actually ship your own pallet of inventory across the border, whether it's on the ground or through the air, into Canada or one of these other countries. So that's a really fast, easy way to start. I think Canada's the easiest place to start as opposed to, the other countries around the world. But if you prove concept, or if you're a bigger brand and you just know we're going to make Canada and these other countries a big focus, then it probably does make sense to ship, a bulk of inventory, pallets or a container or whatever it is, directly into Canada. And you can use a 3PL warehouse in Canada if you want, that integrates with Shopify and Amazon, or, Amazon FBA warehouses are now in all over the world in I believe all the countries that they operate in, they have warehouses. Maybe there's a few where they don't, but that is another way to do it as well. So there are multiple options.
All right, cool. This is good. Thanks for doing that logistics side. Just nice to have those answers. We are nearing the end of the show for today, but I just, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I think there's quite a few takeaways, and I'm sure you have a few. I've scribbled down a bunch of notes here, and I think one of the things that I like, one of my big takeaways today is that if you're not testing Amazon, then there's this lost opportunity, I believe. And like I said, you made a really good point about if you're doing well on your Shopify store, there's no reasons why you can't grab a couple SKUs, get a report from you to prove that the niche is profitable in that area. And then throw up a couple SKUs up there, not your full product catalog, and test it out. So that's one of the things that I think that I got as a takeaway, just getting into that multi-channel mindset of it. I can't, and so those are two takeaways. Is there anything that you want to kind of go over to make sure that we kind of summarize today's podcast?
Yeah, no, I think those are great points. Thanks for summarizing that. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you haven't tested Amazon, it's definitely worth a look. So the first step would be, is like we could do that for you, is the free revenue analysis and niche analysis to see, does Amazon make sense or not for you? Is it a good niche opportunity or not? So we can do that for you for free. And we'll put that up at turnkeyproductmanagement.com/fastlane. And there's other goodies there and free resources for Amazon growth, as well as the ability just to book a call with us there if you're ready to hop on a call and chat about Amazon and learn more about what it would take to be successful on there, where we're happy to do that as well. And let's think, if you want to grow on Amazon, I definitely wouldn't treat it lightly. You can't, the days of just throwing up an Amazon listing at a bare minimum, putting up a, one image of your product and, putting the title is gone. It used to work in 2014 and, you could have some success but unfortunately, Amazon is a really competitive marketplace, and you want to make sure that you take it seriously. And either if you have your own team that, someone on your team or multiple people that have bandwidth, or yourself that you have the bandwidth and can do it yourself, then go all in and train your team, build the SOPs, get the trainings that you need to do it yourself. Some of our clients, they actually want us to help coach them and consult with their team. And so that's actually another service that we offer, is to help train their team, give them all of our standard operating procedures. Some of those clients want us to manage just the Amazon advertising campaigns for them, because that's such a technical big piece where you can make a lot of money or lose a lot of money really fast.
Right.
So yeah, I would say, just come up with the plan and assess what makes most sense for where you're at in the business. Or if you want to hire an agency to completely do it for you and just take it over, do the work, and you own the account. Like, we don't own your account or anything. Like, you set up your account and then just give us a sub-user login that you can always remove in the future. And so we'll build that for you and help optimize everything and do the launches and help grow you. Even if you're already on Amazon, we can still come in and help, grow and scale you from wherever you're at to that next level. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I just think Amazon and Shopify go so well, go hand in hand together. And I recommend that you focus on both, and you just need the team and resources to do it.
Yeah. And it sounds like you got that bandwidth to be able to help brands at least get that revenue report, see the profitability potential in that, and then just run a test. It's totally worth it. So I'm going to just quickly do a shout out for your podcast. So it's called the Playbook for Amazon Podcast. I'll put a link in the show notes for that. It looks like you've got quite a few episodes that you've been doing this for a while, and exciting to kind of at least going down that journey of Amazon specific kind of Q&A and education. So I think that's great. I will put that link. So it's turnkeyproductmanagement.com/Fastlane. That'll go to a really cool landing page. I'm looking at it right now. Thanks for putting that together. Can you talk about some of these free resources and what people can expect if they go to that link?
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, you go to that page, and on one side, you can click to get all of our top free resources. So I already mentioned the niche analysis, but you can also get our Amazon listing product checklist. It's basically like a self audit that kind of grades your listing, like college style, A through F, to see what your score is. Yeah. And it'll more importantly tell you, here's what you need to fix in order to get that A quality listing. But anyways, there's just lots of good growth resources there and some free SOPs. And then also, if you're just ready and just want to, learn more about what it would look like to work with us or find out more and just want to hop on a call and it's easier to chat through, we're happy to assess, where you're at, whether it's a good fit or not. And, we're not a huge company, so we have to be selective with who we work with, but we always like, just talking with people and, give them the best advice that we can so that they'll, make their own decision. And, hopefully we'll be able to work with you. If we're confident that we can help you, then we'll let you know.
No, this is lovely. Yeah. And I've learned a ton. I always joke on the show. And if you've listened to some of my episodes, I always talk about how many pages and notes that I scramble down. And today's no exception. Like, it's just, it's the old life of learning mantra I have. It's just, there's so much to learn, and it's nice to deal with experts who kind of focus in a certain vertical. I mean, there's always a going joke in Shopify about, the merchant success team. It's like, done are the days of being a unicorn. Like it's not possible being a success manager or like an account manager to know all things marketing strategy and platform and product and services and everything. It's hard, but you really want to have select people that you can go to that are the vertical experts. And it's very clear that you're going down that journey of being an Amazon expert, an ads expert. You're willing to offer some free advice. You got, this $1,000 worth of just information and resources and tips and guides and everything here. Like, this is phenomenal. So just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing all this information. I wish you tremendous success into the future. And, thanks for literally opening the kimono, so to speak. Like, you really shared everything today about what it takes to be successful and then the need for brands to be multi-channel. There is a path to that success, and you've done it for yourself, and now you're paying it forward for other brands. So thanks for coming on the show and sharing.
Oh, thank you. You made it easy, and you're a great interviewer and asked the right questions. So no, it was fun hanging out.
All right. Well, have yourself a great afternoon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of eCommerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.